Alright, so there's our volume. Alright, so the next thing we want to do is our buttons, and you can see that we don't have, they're not showing, and that's because our buttons do not have a value. Alright, so what we need to do is replace our buttons with an image, or we'll actually give it a background image. And you can see we have our buttons here: play, pause, and stop. We also have next and previous. Okay, so first we'll do the actual buttons div, which holds all of them. Alright, and we're going to set this to 90%, and we want it displayed as a block. And as far as so margin, top and bottom will be 15 pixels, sides will be auto, and we're going to give it a margin left of 23 pixels. This is just going to push them into the center, and overflow auto. Alright, so now let's do the first button, which we'll do the play button first. I want to do the play, pause, stop buttons, and then we'll do the arrows. Alright, so we're going to say button with the ID of play. Width is going to be 70 pixels. Same with the height. And background. I believe that it's play.png. Let me just double check. Yeah. Alright, so that'll give us the button. It's going to float to the left, and I'm going to give it margin left of -2 pixels just to position it where we want it. Alright, so let's make sure that that shows up, which it doesn't. Oh, this needs to be images, not image. Alright, so there's our play button. Now I'm just going to copy this, and next we'll do the pause button. Now initially, with the final design, we want the pause button to be hidden when the page loads, because we only want it shown when the song's playing. So it's going to show now and look a little weird, but later on we're going to hide it using jQuery. Okay, so all we need to do here is basically change the name of the image. Alright, so now let's do the stop. And this one, we want to just change this to -3 pixels. Alright, so let's try that. Okay, so there's our buttons. Now we'll do the previous and the next arrows. Again, it's going to look a little messed up because the pause button is going to be shown. Actually, you know what? Let's hide it for now. Okay, and next we'll do the previous. Okay, now the arrows we're going to give a margin top. We want to push them down a little, so we're going to give a margin top of 15 pixels. Okay, now we'll do the next. Next, now we want to float this right. Okay. Alright, so there's our buttons. This stop button should actually be Margin left should be 3, not -3. There we go. Alright, so now let's do the tracker, which will be the progress bar and the time. Okay, so the progress bar is basically going to be just the container with the blank, with the empty progress bar image. Actually, let me change this to, I want to stay consistent, and we've been using dashes in our class names as opposed to camel case, so I'm just going to change that. Alright, so width 80%, margin left 2%, margin bottom 20 pixels, margin top will be 9 pixels, height 10 pixels, and then we want our background images, and it's called progress bg.png, and we want to float it to the left. Alright, so there's our progress bar. Now for the actual progress, which isn't going to be displayed, well, it actually will be displayed now, but of course we're going to, when we add the JavaScript, we're going to have it increase as the duration goes on. So progress, and basically we want our image. The image is going to be progress.png. We're going to have it the same height, and we want this to be displayed as an inline block. Alright, so that's not showing now, but it will later on. Okay, so duration, which is the time, we're going to position that absolute, 0 from the top, and 10 pixels from the right. Give it some padding, 4 pixels top and bottom, 8 pixels right and left, and a background of black. Also, we want it to have rounded corners, so border radius, and we'll do 5 pixels. Okay, now we don't have the time there, so I'm going to just put a static time in, right in the duration span. And these are going to be removed in the next, when we do the JavaScript, because we don't want just static text. We want the actual time to be inserted into this element. Okay, so we're basically just doing this for show, just so we can make sure that it looks good. Okay, so that's not showing. And I think it's because we forgot a D in our padding. Okay, still not. Duration. Alright, so it looks like it's showing way up here in the corner. That's because we want our tracker element to be relative. The tracker is this whole area, and we didn't add any styling for that yet, so we need to do that. I'm going to put that in above the progress bar div. Okay, so of course we want to position this relative, and I'm going to give it a width of 100%, and that should contain that duration. Alright, so there we go. Alright, now the last thing we need to style is the playlist, so we just want to kind of give it some padding and margin. We want to highlight, we want to create an active class to highlight the song that's playing. So let's do that. And we're going to say playlist. We want to make sure there's no bullets, so we want to just set the list style to none. And then the li, we want to make the cursor into a pointer when it's hovered over it. And then I'm just going to give it a 5 pixels of margin. Alright, now we want to create an active class, so let me copy this, and we want to say li.active, and for the active we're going to make it bold. We're going to give it some padding, 3 pixels, and background will be kind of a dark gray. Okay, so let's reload. Now we don't have an active class, so let's just manually add that for now to make sure it's working. So I'm just going to give this a class of active. Alright, so our application user interface is complete. Now we just have to create the JavaScript to power it.